My parents didn't even notice when I moved to another state. They were too busy focusing on my golden child brother. Now that they've discovered I'm successful, they suddenly want to reconcile. Hey everyone, we put a lot of effort into bringing you the most compelling stories. If you're enjoying them and want to support us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Now let's dive into today's story. OP starts by saying, "Hey Reddit, I've been here for a while, reading stories about dysfunctional families. I finally decided to share mine. Even if no one reads this, just writing it down feels like a relief. My name's Ethan, and if I had to sum up my family dynamic in one word, it would be unbalanced. Growing up, my parents, Mark and Linda, didn't just play favorites. They had one favorite, my younger brother Ryan. He was their pride, their star, the one they supported in everything. Meanwhile, I was more like the invisible child, given just enough attention to get by, but never enough to feel valued. Ryan was the kind of kid people naturally gravitated toward, outgoing, loud, always smiling. My parents treated him like he was a miracle from the start. I, on the other hand, was reserved. I liked books, drawing, and working on little projects in my room. I wasn't flashy, and to them that seemed to make me less important. The favoritism showed early. As kids, Ryan got more toys. At first I thought it was because he was younger, but as time went on, it became obvious. He was their star, and I was just the other child. Birthdays were a clear example. Ryan's parties were big events with expensive gifts and decorations. Mine, usually just a cake, followed by conversations about Ryan's latest accomplishment. One year I asked for an art set. Instead, I got dollar store pens. That same year, Ryan got a brand new bike. But it wasn't just about gifts. The emotional neglect cut deeper. When I brought home straight A's in middle school, I was so proud. I handed my report card to my mom, hoping for at least a good job. She glanced at it and said, "That's nice," before going back to praising Ryan's 2 points in a basketball game. He wasn't even good at basketball, but to them, his smallest effort was worth more than my biggest achievements. That pattern never changed. When Ryan wanted to try something, my parents funded it. Without question, sports, hobbies, even business ideas. When I showed interest in something, they brushed it off. I once asked for help starting a small online shop for handmade crafts. My dad laughed and said it was a waste of time. Months later, Ryan announced he wanted to start a fitness gear brand. My parents immediately paid for equipment, a website, and a designer for his logo. I remember thinking, why does he get everything while I have to fight for scraps? By high school, I had stopped expecting anything from them. Ryan was their entire world, and I was just another person in the house. Ryan knew he was the favorite, too, and he enjoyed rubbing it in. If I got new shoes, he'd joke about me finally upgrading from hand-me-downs. If I tried to join a conversation at dinner, he'd cut me off and redirect the focus back to himself. My parents never corrected him. If I complained, they said I was being too sensitive. One memory stands out. Senior year, I entered a regional business competition. I spent weeks preparing, designing prototypes, and perfecting my pitch. I ended up winning first place. Excited. I rushed home to share the news. My dad's response? "That's nice. But have you seen Ryan's new logo? Looks so professional." My mom didn't even look up from her phone. That night, I cried. Not because I wanted their approval, but because I finally understood I would never get it. That was the breaking point. I knew I needed to leave as soon as I graduated. But leaving wasn't easy. My parents had poured everything into Ryan's projects, so when I said I wanted to move out and focus on my own business, they shut me down. My dad told me, "Ryan's business is the future of this family." That was the moment I realized I couldn't rely on them. If I wanted a better life, I'd have to build it myself. Going independent. So that's exactly what I did. I kept my plans quiet, knowing they would dismiss me if I told them. I worked part-time jobs, tutoring, babysitting, freelancing online. I told my parents I was volunteering or studying, but really, I was saving every penny. Late at night, I taught myself marketing, web design, and product sourcing. It wasn't glamorous. I worked from my bedroom, often hiding my screen when someone came in, but it was mine. My idea was simple: custom-designed products like mugs, tote bags, and stationery for niche audiences. It wasn't revolutionary, but I believed in it. My first sale was just $15 for a mug, but to me, it felt like winning the lottery. Meanwhile, Ryan's business was failing. His team of friends spent more time partying than working, and he struggled to find clients. My parents, instead of holding him accountable, just kept funding him: new equipment, consultants, even office space. I once overheard my dad reassure him, "You're building something big." I had to stop myself from laughing. Ryan barely lifted a finger, yet they treated him like the next Steve Jobs. While they poured money into his failures, I quietly grew my business through smart social media marketing and word of mouth. Orders picked up. By the time I graduated, I was making enough to live on. When I told my parents I was moving out, they barely reacted. My dad even said, "Good for you. Maybe you can help Ryan with his business." I bit my tongue and smiled, knowing they had no idea I was moving to another state to run my own operation. I found a small office, just one room with peeling wallpaper and a wobbly chair, but it was mine. Signing that lease felt like freedom. The payoff. Setting up my office was one of the happiest moments of my life. I expanded my product line to personalized notebooks, planners, and even bulk orders for events. Sales grew fast. Within a year, I hired a part-time assistant. By the second year, I upgraded to a larger office and added more staff. My parents assumed I was just working side jobs and occasionally helping Ryan. They never asked for details, and I didn't volunteer any. Meanwhile, Ryan's business collapsed. The office sat empty most days. His website was outdated, and even my dad started sounding discouraged when he tried to defend him. By my third year, I was earning more than I ever imagined. I had multiple revenue streams, loyal customers, and partnerships with local shops. For the first time, I didn't just feel successful, I felt validated. All those years of being ignored had led to this moment. My parents had invested everything in Ryan, but he let them down. I, on the other hand, built something from nothing, completely on my own. But the strange part was, they still didn't notice. I'd come home occasionally for holiday dinners, and every time my dad would ask, "So Ethan, when are you going to get serious about your career?" I always wanted to laugh, but instead I'd just say, "I'm working on it, Dad," and leave it at that. What they didn't realize was that I wasn't just working on it, I was thriving. One morning, I was in my office going through emails and planning my next product launch when my phone buzzed. Normally, I don't answer calls from unknown numbers, but something made me pick this one up. "Hey, Ethan. It's Dad." I froze for a second. My dad never really calls me, unless he wants something. "Hey, Dad. What's up?" I asked. There was an awkward pause before he continued. "Your brother Ryan has another business idea. We're all pitching in to help him get started again. He's determined to make it work this time." That old familiar feeling sank in. Not exactly anger, but disappointment. "Okay," I said carefully, waiting for the request I knew was coming. "Well," he added, "we thought it would be good if you came home for a family meeting to brainstorm and help Ryan launch his project." And there it was. I couldn't help but laugh. "You want me to help Ryan with another business idea?" Don't laugh, Ethan. He's learned a lot since the last time. Family should support each other. I leaned forward on my desk. "Dad, with all due respect, why would I do that? You've never once asked me for help before." He sighed deeply, like he was already frustrated. "Look, Ethan, it's not just about Ryan, it's about the family's reputation. People are starting to talk, asking why Ryan can't seem to make anything work. If we come together, we can help him turn it around and silence the critics." That's when it hit me. This wasn't about Ryan or about family. It was about appearances. "I'm sorry, Dad," I said, keeping my tone even, "but I have my own business to run. I don't have time to play cheerleader for Ryan." That's when the guilt trip started. He launched into a speech about sacrifices, how hard it was to raise two boys, and how I should be grateful for everything they had done. I stayed silent until he finished. Then I said plainly, "I'm not coming home, Dad. I've got too much on my plate." The line went quiet. Finally he said, "If you don't come, we'll stop supporting you financially." I almost laughed again. "Dad, I haven't needed your money in years. Stop pretending you've been supporting me." There was a long pause. What's that supposed to mean? It was petty, but I couldn't resist. "It means I've been running my own business for years. I'm doing fine without you." He sounded shocked. "You're joking." "I'm not. I've built a successful business. I can take care of myself. So no, I won't be coming back to help Ryan." Silence followed. Then he hung up. I thought that would be the end of it. But of course it wasn't. The next day my mom called. "Ethan, sweetheart, we need to talk." Her voice was soft, almost pleading, but I knew better. "What do you need, Mom?" I asked. She sighed. "It's about Ryan. He's been under so much stress, and your father and I are worried. It would mean a lot if you came home to support him. He's your brother, after all." I clenched my jaw. "Mom, I'm not coming home. I have my own life, my own business. Ryan's problems aren't mine." "But we're family," she said, her voice wavering. "You can't just turn your back on us." "I didn't turn my back on you. You turned your back on me years ago. I'm not going to drop everything because Ryan needs another bailout." She sniffled into the phone, but I didn't feel sympathy. For years I had craved their attention and support. Now that I didn't need it, they suddenly wanted me to be the dutiful son. "Ethan," she said, her voice steadier, "we just want what's best for everyone. Can't you see that?" "No, Mom," I replied firmly. "You want what's best for Ryan. You always have. I'm done being second place in this family." I hung up before she could respond. Over the next week, the calls kept coming. My dad left angry voicemails, accusing me of being selfish. My mom sent long texts about family unity and how I was breaking her heart. I ignored them all. Then something unexpected happened. A friend from high school reached out and told me my dad had been asking around about me. Apparently, he even went to the local college I was supposed to be attending to check my records. When he found out I wasn't a student, he lost it. A few days later, I got another furious call. "What the hell have you been doing with all the money we sent for tuition?" I couldn't help laughing. "I used it to build my business, Dad. Thanks for the seed funding." "You lied to us," he shouted. "Do you know how embarrassing this is?" "For who?" I shot back. "Because I'm doing just fine." He tried to lecture me about trust and respect, but I cut him off. "You want to talk about respect? Where was yours when I needed it? When I was working to succeed, and you didn't even notice?" He hung up again. And that's where things stood. My parents were furious. Ryan was likely sulking. And me, for the first time, I felt free. I thought the storm would calm down after I revealed the truth about my independence. But I was wrong. It only stirred things up more. A few days later, my mom showed up at my office, uninvited. It was late afternoon, and I had just finished a meeting when my receptionist came in. "Ethan, there's a woman here asking for you. She says she's your mom." I was stunned. My mom had never shown real interest in my life before. I told the receptionist to let her in, mainly to avoid a scene. She walked in, looking around in disbelief. "This is nice," she said, clearly surprised. "Thanks," I replied flatly. "What are you doing here, Mom?" She gave a dramatic sigh. "I wanted to talk face to face. You've been avoiding our calls, and we're worried about you." I leaned back, arms crossed. "Worried about me? Since when?" "Don't be like that, Ethan. We're family. Families argue, but we need to stick together." I was already losing patience. "So you came here to guilt-trip me into playing happy family again?" Her expression faltered before she quickly recovered. No. We want to make things right. Your father and I realized we may have been too focused on Ryan. We want to make it up to you. I didn't believe her. Make up for it. By pretending the last 20 years didn't happen. She avoided my gaze. We want to support you now, Ethan. We're proud of what you've done. I scoffed. Proud? You didn't even know what I was doing until last week. You ignored me when I needed you. And now suddenly you want to act supportive. Why? Because Ryan failed, and you need someone to bail you out. Her face flushed. That's not fair. We've always cared about you. Stop. I cut in. Let's not rewrite history. You're here because you're desperate. So be honest. What do you really want? She hesitated, fiddling with her purse strap. Finally she admitted, your father and I are in a financial bind. Ryan's last venture cost more than we expected. We were hoping you could lend us money. I laughed bitterly. Of course, it always comes back to money. It's not just about money, she added quickly. We want to rebuild our relationship too. This could be a fresh start. I stared at her, unsure if she actually believed that, or was simply trying to manipulate me. You ignored me for years. Now you want a fresh start because you're broke? That's not how this works. I'm not your safety net. Her expression hardened. Ethan, we're your parents. We've done so much for you. No, I snapped. You did so much for Ryan. Don't pretend otherwise. I don't owe you anything. She stood abruptly. You're being selfish. We're still your family whether you like it or not, and you were my family once. But you treated me like I didn't exist. I replied, now I have work to do. She stormed out, slamming the door. I thought maybe that was the last of it. But I was wrong again. A few days later, Ryan himself showed up at my office. He looked unkempt and exhausted. I barely recognized him. Ethan, he said quietly, stepping in. Can we talk? I sighed, leaning against my desk. What do you want, Ryan? He sat down heavily, running a hand through his messy hair. Look, man, I know things haven't been great between us, but I really need your help right now. I raised an eyebrow. You need my help. That's steps of first. He winced but continued. I screwed up, okay? Thought I could handle everything, but I couldn't set. And now, my parents are blaming me for everything. According to them, it's Sep's my fault the business failed. My fault they Sepper broke. Isn't it? I asked directly. Ryan looked at me, his expression pained. I didn't mean for it to turn out this way. I really thought I could make them proud, but now they're turning on me, and I don't know what to do. I crossed my arms. So what is it you want from me? Do you think I can fix this? I don't know, he admitted, his voice unsteady. I need someone to have my back. Please, Ethan. I shook my head. You've got some nerve coming here, after everything. You bullied me, Ryan. You treated me terribly while Mom and Dad cheered you on. And now you expect me to save you? I'm sorry, he said softly. I was an idiot back then. I didn't realize how much I hurt you. Too little, too late, I replied firmly. I've moved on. I built a life without you or them, and I won't let you drag me into the mess you created. Ryan sat in silence before standing, shoulders slumped. I guess I deserve that. But for what it's worth, I really am sorry. I said nothing as he left. Since then, I haven't heard from any of them. My phone has been blissfully quiet, and I've been able to focus on my business and my own life. For the first time in years, I feel in control. I thought the guilt trips from my parents and Ryan were behind me. I thought I could finally move forward, but life has a way of throwing in one last twist. About a month after Ryan's visit, I received a letter in the mail. Not an email, not a text, an actual letter. I couldn't remember the last time anyone had written to me, so I opened it. The handwriting was familiar. My mom's. The letter was long and uneven, with tear-stained smudges on the page. She began with the usual that she and Dad missed me, regretted everything, and loved me. But then it shifted. Things had gone from bad to worse. The house they had lived in for decades was gone. They had borrowed heavily to fund Ryan's businesses, and when the last one collapsed, they couldn't keep up with mortgage payments. They were evicted weeks earlier, and were now living in a small apartment on the outskirts of town. As for Ryan, the golden child, he had taken what money he had left and moved in with a friend 2 states away. He wasn't answering their calls. My mom wrote that she couldn't believe he had abandoned them after everything they had done for him. The irony was obvious. They spent years bending over backwards for Ryan, giving him endless support and resources, only for him to leave them when things got difficult. Meanwhile, the son they ignored, the one they dismissed as too sensitive or unmotivated, was the only one left standing. The letter ended with a plea. My mom begged me to forgive them and help them rebuild their lives. She wrote they had no one else, that they had learned their lesson and wanted to make things right. I set the letter down and sat in silence. Part of me wanted to believe her, to be the bigger person, and try to repair what was left of our family. After all, they were still my parents, and despite everything, there was a part of me that still longed for their acceptance. But then I thought about the years I had spent waiting for them to notice me, the birthdays and holidays where I was an afterthought, the countless times they made it clear that Ryan was their priority. I couldn't go back. A few weeks later, I heard from my aunt, the only extended family member I still kept in touch with. She called unexpectedly, her voice low and hesitant. "Ethan, I don't know if you've heard, but your parents are in serious trouble." "I figured," I said flatly. "They lost the house," she continued. "But it's worse. Mark had a big argument with an old client, and now it's turned into a lawsuit. If they lose, they'll have nothing left." I rubbed my temples. "What do you want me to do about it?" She hesitated. "I'm not saying you owe them anything. God knows they treated you terribly. But they're still your parents. I thought you should know." I thanked her and hung up. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. My parents had made one mistake after another, but they were still human, selfish and short-sighted, yes, but human. I wasn't going to rescue them, or pour my hard-earned money into their poor choices, but I decided I could give them one thing: closure. The next day, I called my mom. She answered immediately, her voice shaking. "Ethan, is that you?" "It's me," I said. "Oh, thank God," she whispered. "I've been praying you'd call. How are you? Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I replied, evenly. "I just wanted to talk." She began crying, deep sobs that made me uncomfortable. After a moment, she managed to speak. "Ethan, I'm so sorry for everything, for how we treated you. You didn't deserve it." "I know I didn't," I said, "and I appreciate the apology. But it doesn't erase the past." "I know," she admitted. I don't know how to fix this." "You can't fix it," I said bluntly. "It's too late for that. But you can learn from it. Maybe one day we can have a relationship, but it will take time and real effort from both of you." "We'll do whatever it takes," she said quickly. "We'll prove it to you, I promise." I stayed silent for a moment, not wanting to put too much faith in her promises. Finally I said, "Take care of yourselves. That's all I can say right now." We hung up, and for the first time in my life, I felt at peace. For once, I was in control of the relationship. Final update. Hey Reddit, it's me again. I know I said I was done with my parents' drama, but things are rarely that simple. Over the past few months, I've realized something. No matter how much they hurt me, they're still my parents. That doesn't mean I forgive everything or pretend it didn't happen, but the thought of them struggling, homeless and hopeless, weighed on me. So after a lot of thought, I decided to step in, not to fix their lives, but to give them a chance to fix things themselves. This wasn't about being a hero or proving a point. It was about setting boundaries and doing what I felt was right. A few days ago, I drove to their apartment without telling them. When I knocked, my mom answered. She looked older, worn down. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "Ethan," she whispered. "You came?" "Yeah," I said, stepping inside. The apartment was small, cluttered, depressing. My dad was sitting on the couch with papers in his hands. He looked up and stood. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" I took a deep breath. "I've been thinking about everything, and I've decided to help. Not because I owe you anything, but because I want to." My dad frowned in confusion, while my mom's eyes filled with tears. "You don't have to," she said. "We don't deserve it." "You're right," I said firmly. "You don't. But that's not the point. I'm not here to relive the past. I'm here to give you a chance to get back on your feet. That's all." My dad sat back down, running a hand through his hair. "How?" he asked quietly. "I'll help cover your basic bills and rent, but only for now, and I'll help you come up with a plan. The rest is up to you." They nodded, stunned into silence. Over the next few days, I worked through their finances with them. It was worse than I expected. Credit card debt, overdue bills, the lawsuit, Ryan's failures had left nothing but debt and broken promises. I helped set up a budget, consolidated some debts, and paid a couple of urgent bills to keep the lights on. It wasn't easy, but I reminded myself this was temporary. There were tense moments. My dad struggled with pride, and my mom kept apologizing. I told her words were fine, but what I needed was action. "This is the last time I'm doing this," I said firmly. "After this, you're on your own." They both agreed, and for once I believed they meant it. The hardest part was dealing with my own emotions. Each time I handed them money or helped solve a problem, I wondered if I was setting myself up for disappointment. But another part of me felt like I was finally closing a painful chapter. Helping them wasn't about fixing the past. It was about showing myself that I could rise above it. It's been a week since then, and things seem to be moving forward. My parents are looking for part-time work and sticking to the budget. I even set up online bill pay for them. It's not perfect. Trust won't be rebuilt overnight, but for the first time, I feel like we're moving in the right direction. I'm cautiously optimistic, but my boundaries are clear. If they fall back into old habits, I'll walk away again without hesitation. For now, I'm giving them one last chance. Thanks for following along, Reddit. I'll update you if anything changes.